I've seen it time and time again where a guy will get with the first girl because she's showing him a bit of attention that he's ever had. He'll get with the first girl because she's showing him attention. I've never had a girl in my life. It feels good, it feels comfortable, she feels nice. He will get with that girl, and stylistically it could be extremely negative for his life, and it could be extremely negative for him as a person overall, and his overall view of himself and his view of his life long term. It could be a terrible relationship for him, but because it's the only girl, even though it's not the one that he necessarily wants, he will give in to that. And I get a lot of stick from people in my life where I would turn down girls for certain things. I'm not saying I'm some massive playboy, but there's been a few situations where I've turned down quite a few girls because they're not a right fit, or they do a certain thing that I don't like. And people say, why are you viewing it like that? You could just get with them tonight. You could have sex with them. You could do this, you could do this. And I don't like it from that perspective because I know it's not a right person for me. I know it's not a right girl for me. And even in the past where I've had deeper stuff with women, I've put too much into certain women in the past. And I just don't want you lot to give your heart to a random girl who you don't truly know, if that makes sense. And this sounds wishy-washy as men to say, but a lot of guys do that. A lot of guys get emotionally invested in a person that they shouldn't be emotionally invested into because it's just negative. Their traits are negative. They don't fit them in their life. And obviously on the other spectrum, if you find someone that fits your life perfectly and that's amazing and that you truly like, obviously stay with them and get with them. Don't like just mislead it because you're not focusing on women. But I just don't want a lot of guys who's watching this to get with a woman that they don't truly want and then develop feelings for them, because it's not that hard to do really on a real level. If you get with someone quite a few times and you spend enough time around them, you could easily develop feelings for that person, even if initially you didn't. And then you can be on this endless cycle of wanting to see them, your mental health being tormented, and they could do stuff that you don't necessarily want them to do. They could be a terrible fit for you. They could not be a good person for your life, but because, it's the first girl I've ever seen, it's the first girl I've ever wanted, or I don't get this often, they go towards it. And I've seen this happen with a guy I know recently, and it's quite sad. It's quite sad because you tell him what is actually going on, and he's like, no. And then he'll validate what she said and what she's done to him, when obviously what she's done is terrible. And you're trying to convince him that it isn't bad. It is bad. You're trying to convince him that it's a very bad situation, but they just can't see it because they're blinded by the emotion that they're feeling from that person. And I've been there in the past before, but not on extremely terrible levels, but this is mad. But on a real level, I just don't want you lot who watch this, the guys who watch this, the boys, to get with a random girl and develop feelings for them. If it's what you want to do initially, that's all right, but don't go completely for just any girl. Don't go for any girl, because this is a terrible mindset to have, because then your standards get lower. It's all right to have standards as men. I know that a lot of people want to ever say, is there anything wrong with her? Is there anything wrong with her? It's like people I know has got annoyed at me because I've said I've not liked that girl because of this thing. And they're like, you shouldn't say that, I'm like, it's just not a right fit for me as a person. Yeah, they can say that about a guy, and it's all right, you know? And it's just terrible in a sense, because you just don't want to go for any girl. You got to have standards. If you improve yourself long enough, you will be able to find a good girl, a girl who you actually want. It's just that long game. Do you want something quick now that can potentially have a negative downside? Or do you want something in the future that you actually want? Or if it comes along, whenever it comes along, do you want that? Because it's easy to fall into this trap of comfort and just get in with any girls, get in with this thing. You're out, this girl comes on Tuesday, you get with them. And it's crazy, you know? I've always thought smarter with this stuff, especially like in regards to me as a person. I don't want to get into stuff now, which doesn't mean anything. And it's like one of these things where people want to get into stuff or just fuck that girl because of this, and they could almost develop an attachment to that person. And on a deeper level, it is almost attaching with that person, isn't it? Becoming one, which sounds cringy as fuck, but that is what it is. And you just don't want to do that with any girl, you know? You just don't want to do that with different things, and you don't want to consistently see them, especially if it's the first girl you've been with. You don't want to become too emotionally invested, especially if you know if they're not the right fit for you, because it will take up time in your head. It will take up your mental health a bit, and it will crush you overall, because you don't know how long that's going to last. Is that going to last for a year, 2 years? however, 6 months, and then you got the back bit where you may not feel good or it may go wrong or whatever. And I just don't want you to fall in for any girls, man. Have standards for yourself. Have standards in regards to what you let into your life, the girls you let into your life, the people you let into your life. Have standards. There's nothing wrong with that. People would tell you that's wrong because everyone's all right and you can do what you want. But at the end of the day, you don't need all people in your life. You need the ones who you want in your life that help you, that actually get you as a person and actually can benefit you. You don't just want random people or like people you know but they're terrible influences. You don't. You want people that can enrich you and help you and also have an amazing relationship with, and you do the same for them. It's not completely just gaining off that person, but what I'm saying is you want people that actually feel like friends, that actually are friends. And you don't just want any girls, man. Don't go for any girls, especially younger people watching. Just don't go for any girl that you can get. Have standards. Wait for the right thing. I'm not saying if you're on a night out or whatever and this girl wants to go in with you and you want that, importantly you want that, not to do it, but of course be very protective, because you don't want a relationship with that girl. You don't want to get her pregnant. You don't want this because you never know who she's been with in that club and all this stuff. And we've had a crazy situation of this recently, which is so funny. But on a real level, I don't want you lot in this position. Have standards. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. You're your own person. You choose what you let into your life, what girl you let into your life. And that's going to be the real message in this video. Hope you lot got a lot of value. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.